How you doing? Today we're going to do a brake job. We already got it aired up. We're going to have to back the slack adjuster off so we get the lip of the drum over. When the slack adjuster starts to come back, as you're backing it off, instead of the brakes moving, you know you're backed off all the way. Usually the drum is stuck, so I either hit it here or here. A lot of people have fancy brake tools. I've always used vice grips, find it easier. Got two springs back here. Just grab them and twist, don't pop out. Always check, see if they got a hump, whether they're Qs or Q pluses. S-cam makes the difference. Some of them you can only use one shoe on. Check and make sure your wheel seal isn't leaking. Check your S-cam bushings while you're in here. Make sure they're still solid. And then these are your anchor pins. A lot of people don't change these. I suggest changing them. We're going to show you an easier way to get them out if they don't come out with just a hammer. And of course they're not. They're not coming out with just a hammer. We're going to get the rosebud out, heat them up, see if we can knock them out. Be sure to always wear your safety glasses. Try not to melt the ABS cable. So we were able to get them out using the rosebud and a hammer, and then we used the air hammer with a punch on it. You don't want to overheat the spider and beat it because you'll bend it. Get your new sleeves put in. Now before you put your new anchor pins in, I suggest putting a whole bunch of anti-seize inside of here. That way you don't have the same problem next time. Slide your anchor pins in. Use this chart as some companies will reline any lining on any shoe. Okay, so the difference between brake shoes. Here's the old ones. They were cracked and had separation. So we're going to replace those. If it has a hump, it's a Q shoe. If it does not have a hump, it's a Q plus. The Q pluses have thicker pads, and instead of changing the drum, they change the S-cam. You got to check your S-cam to make sure you can use Qs or Q pluses. If it's a Q plus cam, you can put Qs or Q pluses. If it's only a Q cam, you can't put Q plus shoes on it. A Q plus is 1 3/16. A regular Q is 1 3/8. This one is a newer style cam. We can use either on it, so that's what we're going to do. When putting your shoes together, you got your roll pins. Obviously it goes in here, not going to fit in there. Take your little anchor pins. You want to check, make sure they're loose. Sometimes you hit it too hard and it'll pop right out the bottom. Before you put your shoes on, I always take the springs, crack them. If it's new paint, a lot easier to crack the paint first. They'll stretch out easier. Everybody puts the shoes on different. I'm just showing you the way I do it. Sometimes you got to mess with your slack adjuster, get them to sit on there good. If you try to put Q plus shoes on a Q cam, you will not be able to fit the drum over it. The pads are too thick. Now I put my top one on, hook my spring, and then I always bring the bottom one up like this. I know I'm the only person that ever does it. That's just how I've always done it. After you get this bottom one in place, take your other springs. Make sure they're all the way in. This drum's not old, doesn't have a deep lip, it's not cracked. We're going to reuse it. Then put your tires on. very easy to over torque or under torque your lug nuts. You're supposed to tighten them in a star pattern. It really doesn't take much to get to 500 pounds. So this is the way I do it. As soon as it hits, I stop. It's very important you torque these to 500 foot-pounds. If an accident occurs, you could be liable. Then you get your torque wrench, torque them down to 500 foot-pounds. When you're adjusting the brakes, we'll go ahead and show you that because they're still released. Tighten your slack adjuster all the way. And you back it off a half a turn. After you get your brakes pretty much adjusted, you want to check the travel on the rod for the brake chamber. If it's got regular slacks, you don't want it to go any more than 1 3/4 inches, but I think you're allowed up to 2 inches. Any more than that, and you've probably got a problem with your S-cams or something of that nature.